Nothing is known about Shinji Kito's life before the events of the series other than him being a journalist for Ore Journal. While investigating a series of disappearances, Shinji would find a mysterious card deck in one victim's apartment. He would soon be attacked by a monster emerging from reflective surfaces known as Drag Rider. The card deck would protect him, and he would quickly find himself in the mirror dimension. Another monster would attack him, but he would be saved by Rin Akayama, aka Kamen Rider Knight. After this, Shinji would be properly introduced to Rin and his confidant, Yue Kansuki. Yue would explain that the monsters from the mirror world were the cause of the disappearances and would show him a card to seal away Drag Rider. However, Shinji would instead choose to make a contract with Drag Rider, taking the name Kamen Rider Ryuki so he could try to prevent more casualties. He is then almost immediately attacked by Rin, who only backs off after being threatened by Yue to abandon him. Shinji would soon learn that other riders were created by Yue's older brother Shiro Kanzuki. Each was given the instructions to be the last rider standing in exchange for having their wish granted. Shinji would spend the next few months trying to find a way to end the conflict without bloodshed. But in the end, Shinji would be fatally injured while saving a little girl during a mass invasion of mirror monsters. However, Yue would get through to her brother, and Shiro would reset the timeline, with the rider fight never happening. The last time we see Shinji, he passes by Rin, now a stranger to him, but the two seem to recognize each other even if they don't know why. Kota Kazurabe was raised by his older sister Akira after his parents died in an unspecified accident. After graduating from high school, he would join a street dancing group called Team Gaim, but he and Akira would start having financial troubles, so Kota would leave Team Gaim to find employment, earning him ire from his former teammate, Mai Takasukaza. One day, Kota would receive a text from Team Gaim's leader, Yuya Sumi, who wanted to show off a new item that could help their team. Kota and Mai would arrive at the meeting location and find a crack leading into a mysterious forest. They would find a dropped belt and a fruit-shaped lock before they would be attacked by a monster known as an Inves. Kota would use the belt to transform and beat the Inves. He was soon after named Armor Rider Gaim. Eventually, more Armor Riders would pop up, as well as Inves. Kota and his friends would look into this and discover a cover-up by Yggdrasil, the large company that practically ran the city. He would discover that the otherworldly forest known as Helheim is an alternate dimension that infects other planets and turns the inhabitants into Inves, with the first Inves Kota destroyed being Yuya. He would be distraught at first, but would pick himself up to try and save the world. Eventually, a conflict would break out for the golden fruit, a fruit that would make whoever had it the god of the new world to come. It would end with a full-on war between Kota and his rival Kaito Kumon, with Kota coming out on top, killing Kaito in the process. With his newfound power, Kota would transport Helheim and the Inves to a faraway habitable planet where he and Mai, who received similar powers, would watch over them. However, Kota would return to Earth whenever he was needed. Ace would be born presumably sometime during the Roman Empire to a woman named Mitsumi. She would disappear during his childhood after telling him to forget about her. At some point he would die, but he would then discover that he had the power to reincarnate into a new person after death, with his new incarnations always happening to be named Ace as well. Ace would spend the next 2,000 plus years searching for Mitsumi across different lives. During his search, he would become involved in a tournament known as the Desire Grand Prix, where the winner would have the world rebuilt to fit their desire. He would use his first wind to wish for his mother back, but it wouldn't work, leading him to believe the DGP was involved in Mitsumi's disappearance. Cut to modern day, where Ace is currently a Japanese man named Ace Ukyo. He would once again be competing in the DGP, this time under the mantle of Kamen Rider Geats. His hundreds of lifetimes of work would soon pay off as he would discover that Mitsumi was the goddess of creation that the DGP had been using to grant their winners' wishes, with the tournament itself essentially being a reality show watched by people of the far distant future. Ace would eventually finally reunite with Mitsumi, but only when she was minutes away from dying from her powers being abused for the last 2,000 years. After the mother and son gave their final goodbyes, Ace would awaken his own powers of creation, becoming a god himself. With the aid of his allies, Ace would eventually defeat the head of DGP and stop the tournament from playing with anyone else's lives. Ace would then recreate the world one last time, erasing memories of him from the populace with the exception of his friends. Even then, he would occasionally visit Earth to remind his friends to never give up on their desires. Hello everyone, welcome to the finale of the first season of my Versus series, which took 3 years to complete. Fucking ADHD. Anyway, I'm ending my season with my first battle royale between 3 Kamen Riders from seasons that are known for their stories being massive battle royales. The Dragon Knight, Kamen Rider Ryuki, the Man of the Beginning, Kamen Rider Gaim, and the Desire Deity, Kamen Rider Geats. A few things to note before we begin. This will be a stats equalized match because, as I discovered while researching, scaling this franchise is fucking stupid. You know that Stan Lee quote that whoever wins in a story is whoever the writer wants to win? That is pretty much Kamen Rider inverse scaling. Because of the many crossovers that have writers who are probably not even building level being portrayed as equal to universe busters. Because of crossovers, there's a line that connects all of them to be on the same level, so scaling physical stats seems redundant. If you don't use crossovers and limit them all to their own material, then it just isn't even close. Ryuki is town level, while both Gaim and Geats have universal to multiversal arguments. Between Gaim and Geats, it comes down to whether or not you consider this one book for Gaim canon that gives him a 6-dimensional feat according to First Battle Wiki. Where, on the other hand, I think that even if you push a few things, Geats could only be 5th dimensional at most. Without the book, Gaim even being baseline universal is questionable, so Geats would be stronger. I just think conflicting things are whether or not this Gaim book is canon, but either way, this would be a boring finale if it came down to one of the gods in a room waving the other two away with their hand. I am mainly using the respective shows for each character, along with any explicitly canon movie or special, with some exceptions for Ryuki because his canon's a little weird. With that out of the way, let's start off with weapons. For the sake of my sanity, I will not be including vehicles or mechs. This video is already going to be bloated as it is, and they ultimately don't affect the outcome. Ryuki has 4 weapons and gear. His primary weapon is a sword called the Drag Saber, which, compared to Shinji's height, seems to be 3 feet long, and due to its curved design, would serve better as a slashing weapon. Despite the name, the Dragon Claw is a gauntlet shaped like Drag Ritter's head. It is used for punching and can launch fireballs. The Drag's Shield is a pair of shields that can be held or attached to the armor's shoulders. Lastly, in his final form, Shinji receives the Drag Visor Zwei, which is a gun with a retractable blade. Across his many, many forms, Koda has a pretty stacked arsenal. A vast majority I am more than likely not going to pronounce correctly, so bear with me. In his base form, he wields the Dade Maru and the Masu Saber, a pair of 3-foot-long swords. The Dade Maru is a curved blade based on an orange slice, and the Muso Saber is a straight single-edged blade with a gun attachment. The two can attach by their ends, and the Muso Saber has a slot to attach lock seeds to use for finishers. In his Jimbo forms, he gets the Sonic Arrow, a bow that shoots energy arrows and has razor edges for melee combat. In his Kachidoki form, he gets the Hinawada Dai DJ Ju. It is a large sound cannon that has multiple firing settings, from a rapid fire mode to a heavy damage charge mode to something in between. The Muso Saber can also attach into it to make it essentially a bigger sword. It also has a slot for lock seeds. He also has the Kachidoki Bata, which are a pair of flags that can be engulfed in flames. Across his remaining form, he has the Pine Iron, a pineapple-themed flail, the Ichiko Kunai, strawberry-themed kunai that has an endless amount of, the Banana Spear, just a lance that shoots banana-shaped energy constructs, the Dankachi, a short hammer, the Durai Naka, twin chainsaw swords, the Melon Defender, a melon-themed shield, the Budai Ryo, a grape-themed gun, the Mango Destroyer, a mango-themed mace, the Kiwi Gekirin, throwable heaven and earth rings, the Katsamatsu Shin, a polearm, and the Kurumai Bombers, walnut-themed gauntlets for punching. Ace has a few different weapons across his multiple forms as well. His primary weapon is the Magnum Shooter 40X. It seemingly doesn't run out of ammo and it has a sniper mode, and when equipped with Ace's Magnum Buckle, pretty much becomes a railgun. The Magnum form Ace tends to favor also comes with retractable wrist guns. The Raising Sword is a 3-foot broadsword that can be used for slashing and stabbing, but mostly exists just to store energy for the command forms. One command form comes with massive shoulder cannons, and the other comes with a jetpack. Similarly, the Laser Raise Riser is a cool laser pistol, but only really exists as a power-up for one of Geats' forms. When using the Creation form, he receives the Gigant Hammer, which can cause small tremors, the Gigant Sword, which can become multiple stories long when using the Boost Buckle, and the Gigant Blaster, a massive cannon that can also create large structures. He also gets a set of prehensile arms from this form. Lastly, in his final form, he gains the Geats Buster QB9. It can switch between a sword and a railgun form. I'm going to have to split this into 2 parts, aren't I? Starting off, Ryuki is the first out. He has the least amount of weapons, and both Geats and Gaim have a superior equivalent to nearly all of Shinji's toys. Between Geats and Gaim, I favor Koda overall. To Ace's credit, I do think he has better overall ranged weapons. The Magnum Shooter alone can achieve similar results to a majority of Koda's ranged weapons. But in every other area, Koda edges out. He has a wider variety of melee weapons with multiple different lengths and purposes, whereas Ace's melee weaponry is very bare bones. Not to mention, he doesn't really use melee weapons in his base form. So Ryuki is in last place, Geats is in second, and Gaim is in first.